And that was she was tenderized. Yeah. So I kind of researched that, and I realized that lately I really haven't been caring for sometimes how people being portraying Leah. We really don't know if she was unattractive. She just had tender eyes. Some versions of the Bible says that was a good thing, and others say that it was maybe weak eyes. But either or, it doesn't mean she wasn't pretty. However, her sister Rachel, it states that she was beautiful and she was well favored. So we know that Jacob loved Rachel, for he worked for her for 7 years. But then after the 7 years, we know that when he went to go on his wedding night, Laban, which is Rachel and Leah's father, tricked him and gave him Leah instead of Rachel. So of course Jacob worked another 7 years for Rachel, for the love of his life whom he had. So for years these two were going back and forth with envy. You had Leah wanting Jacob's love. And then you had Rachel envying Leah because Rachel was barren. So you had Leah, throughout this whole story, Leah was always reminded that she was not the one that was loved. She was always reminded that she was not the favorite, that she was second, that it was just not her. And she was thrust into a situation that was actually not her fault. Her father actually just put her in this situation. So we bring this to present time, a more relatable situation. So I ask you, what do you do when you find yourself in a situation like Leah? Full of rejection. Or perhaps you know that you're not the first choice. So the first and the foremost, what we need to do is you need to recognize that you're hurt. Give God your pain. Talk to him. Tell him that this isn't fair. God already knows. But there's nothing wrong with talking to God to let him know exactly how you feel. So give God your pain. Give God your hurt. But know that you are still valuable. Know that you are still worthy. We live in this world where everybody's always fighting to be on top. That's right. And we're even doing it sometimes with the church. You get called on, different people get called on all the time. And, sometimes you just have a little bias, a little favoritism. But it doesn't take away from the other person's value. That's right. So you still have to know what you're worth. So you keep going. Find out what it is that I can do to glorify God.
That's it.
You don't get stuck. You can't get stuck. Jealousy sure does not help. Because this is one thing that I do know. If Leah, she could have been jealous of Rachel, but God didn't take away Rachel's beauty. Rachel was jealous of Leah, but she was able to produce children. So the point I'm trying to make is there's no jealousy, there's no room for jealousy. Whatever God wants to do in your life, he's going to do it. Even in the person that you're jealous of. And we all know this through Joseph. The brothers couldn't stand it. But God still fulfilled that purpose and brought them and saved their whole generation through Joseph. So you find out, what can I give? What can I contribute? How can God get the glory out of this situation? You're in it anyway. So you do the best to your ability. The Bible talks in 1 Corinthians 12, the Bible talks about there are many members of the body. There's one body, but there are many members. And it even states about how sometimes we may think that one particular member is less important than another. But that's not the case. That's world standards want to say, okay, you're not as important. Well, that's a lie. I still can contribute. if Leah would have stopped and thought, if we can look back in today's time, she may not have gotten she may not have gotten the love that she wanted from Jacob, but she was great. If she only can recognize she was great. Amen. There were only 4 women that produced the tribes of Israel. There were only 2 prominent women that produced the tribes of Israel. That was Rachel and that was Leah. Leah produced 6 tribes. And Rachel produced 2. However, there was only one woman that produced the tribe that we will forever praise. And that is the tribe of Judah. Who came from Leah. Praise God. So has she just really realized that no, I may not have gotten, and I was put in a bad situation, and I may not have gotten the love, that I was seeking. But God knows. God knows it all. God knows it all. God knew her unfair situation. And God even said he knew the things that she was going through, which is why he allowed her to produce the children, to open up her womb like that. I was reading a biography on Doris Tasi Elroy, and she recently passed away. I don't know if you all are familiar with her, but she was a councilwoman. She was real prominent in Long Beach. And everyone has nothing but good praise to say about her. And I was reading, and they were asking her, what is your favorite phrase? And she said, there is nothing that you can't do if you don't care who gets the glory. So what do we have to ask ourselves when we do things, who are we doing it for? Are we doing it for man, or are we really doing it for God? Because that helps us out when we're put in a bad situation, to always keep God first. That is who we're glorifying God, even when it hurts. Amen.